Hello, third grade. This is your science lesson for Friday, the 20th. You are going to go to your science folder and grab your simple machines around the school, but we're at home. We're going to work on levers today. Okay, let's find out a little bit more about levers so that you know what you're looking for when you go on your hunt. Okay, there are three different types of levers. We have discussed levers a little bit at school. I think you're all pretty familiar with the first class lever. That's the one where the fulcrum is in the middle, and then the load and the effort are on either end. On a seesaw, the kids trade off. If they're pushing up, they're the effort. If they're being lifted, they're the load. It goes back and forth. So that's a first class lever. A second class lever is maybe not as familiar to you guys. The difference being that the fulcrum is pulled out to the end and the effort is on the end. The load is in the middle. So we've got a door. Everybody's got a door in their house. The fulcrum is the hinges, okay? The effort is us opening and closing it, and the load is the door itself. So that's a lever that we use every day that we really don't think of as a lever. And then the third type is a third class lever. And the same thing, we pull the fulcrum out to the end, but this time the load is on the end and the effort's in the middle. So if you think of a baseball bat, the fulcrum is holding the bat in your hand, that's our hands, and then the effort is us swinging the bat, and the load is the ball. And we all know, if you've played or if you've ever just tried it, you know that there's that sweet spot on the bat that you want to hit the ball and it goes flying. So the load is the ball and it hits on that end of the bat, right? If you hit it up too close, it doesn't go as far. So third class lever, the load is at the end, okay? So now that we know that, what are some different kinds of levers that we can go hunting for? Well, we've already talked about like the crowbar type of lever at school, and I know we've talked about the wheelbarrow, and we've seen different pictures of those types of levers. A hammer is something that you most likely have at home, but what's cool about the hammer is if we're banging the nail in with a hammer, then we're using a hammer as a third class lever. If we need to take the nail out and we turn it around and then we use the hook on the back of the hammer, now that same tool is being used as a first class lever. We're prying it out. And it's really tough to pull out a nail without that hammer pulling it out. So it makes that easy work. That's the job of a simple machine. Okay. With all the free time on our hands all of a sudden, I bet a lot of your parents are doing some yard work, if they're anything like me. So a rake is a great example of an everyday lever that we use, or a shovel if you're digging in your garden. Even a hand shovel is still a lever. A bottle opener is something we might have in our kitchen that we use often. That's a lever. A stapler. Have you ever thought of a stapler as a lever? This is a great example of a lever that we use often. Do you have one of these at your house, that maybe at your parents' desk? That's something you could put on your list. Hockey stick is similar to the same properties as a baseball bat, where our hands are the fulcrum, the puck is the load, and our force can really whack it far. So third class lever is sort of the same when you're using a lever as a catapult. It can really go far, but it's also the hardest to move because the load is on the very end of that lever. Okay? The most common use of the lever that I wanted to share with you that we don't always think of is scissors. And if you look at this picture, you can see that scissors have been used for a very long time. These are some really old antique scissors. And today we use scissors in many ways. You can use these big type of shears in your garden. You might have those at your house. Or the hair cutting scissors, or we use scissors whenever we need to cut at school or at home. So that's a super useful, simple machine of a lever. So the purpose of a lever is to push, pull, lift more easily. You can do it in 3 different ways with a first, second, or third class lever. And that should give you plenty to go on a hunt and make a great list. When you're done, put that paper back in your folder for next time. and I will see you then.